And let's see. Wait, I'm still gonna test this. Check my sound stuff. I mean, we are live, but still trying to figure this out. Okay, there we go. Cool. And we are live with another episode of Comic Talk. It's that show brought to you by The Keeg, where we talk about this week's new comic book releases, whether they're DC Comics, Marvel Comics, any sort of indie comics like Image Comics or Boom or whatnot. They all come out on Wednesdays at your local comic shop. Go to comicshoplocator.com, find a comic shop near you where you can pick up any of these comics that we're going to be talking about. But yes, they all come out on a Wednesday. We are here every Thursday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, to talk about all the comics we could read that came out this week that we could read in like 24 hours. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera. If you're watching us live, you're watching us on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show or youtube.com/The Keeg Show. Do I recommend following us at both places? Yes, but you don't have to. If you got to pick one, I would say youtube.com/The Keeg Show. That's what we're pushing these days. So, yes, if you're watching us live, you can see us there, or you're listening to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, all the major podcast platforms or whatnot. But if you're watching us live, you can see who our guest is. We got Ethan, aka Virgo Blade. Ethan, what's up?
What up? What up? How's it going? Pretty good. Having a really good time this week with all the great comics that came out.
There were a lot of comics. Like,
yes,
a lot.
An avalanche of comics.
And like, I mean, I know we have a slightly shorter episode today, but I just want to ask you as I have you, like, how do you wade through a week like this that has like a lot of DC, a lot of Marvel, and I feel like I don't know what their strategy is when it comes to like what like comics they're putting on what weeks, but there was a lot of good stuff this week and just a lot of stuff. How do you deal with all that?
So I really felt like put my game face on this week because I feel like this is the week where I've had the most books for this show, like that I need to like read and like get through. So I mapped it out in my head first of like one day is going to be DC, next day is going to be Marvel. Because basically it ended up being like 5 and 5. So I'm like, if I can like carve out time, like a bit like during the day and then a bit at night, I can get through everything that I need to get through before the show starts. So yeah, so Wednesday basically did the first 5 of the DC books that I have, and then Marvel was on Thursday, and I got through all those. So it ended up working out.
How do you decide what to read first? You got your books. What do you read first? Like your favorite thing?
Yeah, well, usually I do the opposite. I do like least favorite thing to most favorite thing. The only time that it shifts is if I want to like record content for something. Like if it's like a new absolute book, I'll probably push that up more versus if I'm just like wanting to read it for fun, then I do like least favorite to most anticipated.
Okay, so what do you read first this week? Without talking about your pick of the week, we'll go through the lists in a second, but like, what did you read first this week?
So first thing I read this week was Martian Manhunter because I wanted to really dig into it and talk about it and like post some stuff because I'm really eager about like the new absolute heroes and the books that they get. So that was number one, even though that was one of like the top picks that I wanted to really read. But also this week had like very big heavy hitters. So it was hard enough to decide what I wanted to read first because everything was almost like at the very peak of like interest.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It was tough to think about yeah, which ones am I really excited for when a lot of them were out this week. Might as well just jump into it. I mean, what was your reading list this week?
So this week it was Doom Academy #2, Weapon X-Men #2, X-Manhunt Omega issue #1, Ultimate Spider-Man issue #15, Uncanny X-Men issue #12, Absolute Wonder Woman issue #6, Absolute Martian Manhunter issue #1, Justice League Unlimited issue #5, Superman issue #24, and Batman issue #158, Hush Part 2.
Yeah.
So pretty happy week.
That is. Was that mostly Marvel or mostly DC, or was it a mix of both?
It's actually a mix of both. It was like 5 and 5 because I ended up putting Ultimate Spider-Man on the list,
Were you
so that
not
evened it out.
were you not reading Ultimate Spider-Man before that?
I was, but I didn't think that I would be able to get to it. But as I said, I was on my A game.
Yeah.
I was not playing around, and I got it done.
I mean, I'm gonna go through my list also, but you know what's funny is that like when we pick our pick of the week and like we choose what to talk about and whatever, I almost feel bad because both companies have a lot going on right now, and
Hmm.
like I mean, I think like DC is firing on all cylinders right now. Like I think they're
Hmm.
giving like 99%, if not 100%. And Marvel, I think personally, I'm like okay, I think they're doing like 95%. Like they're both doing real well.
Hmm.
I don't think Marvel is as tight as I want it, mostly because of I don't think the X-Men part of comics is as tight as I want it.
Hmm.
But I think both companies are working, like overtime right now. And not to mention like all the indie comics out there, right? Like I don't want to forget
Right.
about all that because some of my reads are, or at least one of my reads is from an indie publisher. But like what was I gonna say? Oh, I feel bad because I always want to talk about absolute DC or Ultimate Marvel. And like they're not only the hippest, trendiest stuff coming out of both companies right now, but like they're just solid books.
Yeah.
But I don't want to act like I don't like their normal universe books either. I like them all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
Same. Like, because and I'm loving what they're doing with the all-in initiative and how it's connecting in a very natural way. And I agree with you in that Marvel is doing well, but DC is doing exceptional.
yeah,
Like I feel like how everything is integrating, it feels natural versus like the X-Men, and I mean we'll probably get into this later, but like the events that they've been doing, like it's kind of taken me out of the experience versus what DC is doing is pulling me in.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, okay. I feel like me and you match a lot with the things that we read and the things that we like. So whenever you're on the show, it's always like, okay, yeah. It's just
Yeah, we have
just
a
us
like
like
I feel like we both kind of came up like with the same kind of like DC comic book like library of like
sorry,
books that
sorry, one sec. The the audio just went really weird. But can you hear me now?
yes.
Okay, just repeat I guess what you were saying if you could.
Okay, yeah. So basically I feel like we probably both came up like reading similar things, and so we like essentially the same things. So when comic book companies do events and certain have certain elements in their books that either like harkens back to the concepts that we like, we tend to lean towards them versus when like they do things that are, I'll say it like a bit contemporary. Like because I feel like before the all in initiative and the absolute comics, like DC had been hit and miss with the event books. Like it hasn't been like DC all the time. Like 100% has been like hitting like home runs the whole time. It
Yeah.
hasn't been that way. But lately they have been. And I feel like it's because they've kind of like shifted away Lazarus Planet. Like every book has to be included in this very kind of like forced narrative. Same thing with Night Terrors. It's like that once again like took me out of it in a way that I feel like the X-Men books are doing. Like I really just want to focus on the stories within the actual books versus like the overarching like narrative that they're trying to make into big events to get people to read the books, which I get is part of the business, but it just takes me out of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The way both companies do events is interesting, and then also how they have changed how they do events and like how they do different events is weird. I don't know how they're making their decisions, but I think it's interesting. Also, the audio was kind of weird just a second ago, but I hope it's not persistent. We're not dropping frames, so it doesn't look like it's an internet problem, but it's
Okay.
I don't know if I'm hearing it or not. Because then if it's like on my end, then it is what it is. Um,
Okay.
but let me go through my list real quick, and then we'll be able to talk about our picks of the week and then like the rest of our stuff. So I read a lot that you read, but there are things that you read that I didn't read. But Batman 158, Ultimate Spider-Man 15, Absolute Wonder Woman 6, Amazing Spider-Man 70, Ultimate Wolverine 3, Superman 24, Absolute Martian Manhunter 1, Uncanny X-Men 12. Oh, I read way too much. Justice League Unlimited 5, Fantastic Four 30, Wonder Woman 19, Green Arrow 22, Wolverine Revenge number 5, Laura Kinney Wolverine 4, Black Canary Best of the Best 5, X-Manhunt Omega, Red Hulk number 2, Feral number 11 from Image Comics. I couldn't finish Doom's Division number 1. Peacemaker Presents the Vigilante Eagly double feature. Is that it? That may be it.
It's a good list.
Yeah, that's it. So, thanks. I also do the thing where it's like, yeah, I have to really. I mean, I do get burnt out if I'm reading way too much, way too fast, all at once, right? So,
yeah,
it is what it is. We gotta pace ourselves. But,
yes.
a lot of good stuff came out this week. The question though is, what's your pick of the week?
So my pick is Absolute Martian Manhunter issue number 1. It definitely lived up to my expectations. It gave me everything that I wanted. I wanted something weird and Grant Morrison and like metafiction. I feel like we've been lacking that in comic books lately. Like I want Doom Patrol, Shade the Changing Man, like give me that weirdo, like strange going into like alternate states of consciousness. And that's what Absolute Martian Manhunter gave. And it doesn't feel like any other Absolute book. And to be honest, I feel like every book has a really good understanding of like what its place is, and it doesn't feel like it's retreading over old ground. And Martian Manhunter definitely has its own vibe to it. It almost feels more indie than any other Absolute comic that I've read, and I like that about it. Like it's very, I feel like topical about duality and exploring the consciousness, and also there's like conspiracy aspects to it, and I just loved it, and the art was perfection.
It's funny you bring up Shade the Changing Man because I never quite understood Shade the Changing Man.
That's the
And
point.
that's like a deep cut. That's a deep cut. Like DC does not do anything with Shade the Changing Man. The only reason I know Shade the Changing Man is from JLA The Nail, the Elseworlds book. Do you remember that one?
I do. It was like a long time ago, but so I don't remember
It's
like the story.
one of my favorite Elseworlds ever. And that's because the premise of JLA The Nail is, you still there? I can't tell, but
yeah, I'm still here.
I'm doing something on my computer and I wasn't sure. Anyway, the premise of JLA The Nail is, what if Jonathan Kent got a nail in his tire and because of that wasn't on the road to see Clark land in his spaceship.
Okay. I do remember that. Okay,
it's a world without Superman, but he exists. The twist at the end, and it's not really a twist, but like he's been raised by the Amish. So he's been in secret and never using his powers to help the world. But like Lex Luthor is mayor of Metropolis, and like things have gotten crazy, and like anti-metahuman hysteria is at an all-time high because the world doesn't have Superman to look to as like, oh, not everybody is that bad. And like we can have hope and trust people. Right?
Yeah.
So Shade the Changing Man was one of the examples of like one of the metahumans that were taken prisoner because he looks weird, essentially. And he is a weird one. So this is where we differ. I liked Absolute Martian Manhunter number 1. It might be too trippy for me. And that's like a problem. Because like I like it, but
you can't have one bit that's just like very trippy. Like you can't just have like this one title that's like out there that like takes you away from everything else.
Um,
He's like, no.
I'm trying to think of the trippiest comic that I like. Um,
The Invisibles?
I haven't read it.
Okay. This is where we differ then, because I love trippy and like metafiction, like
Hmm.
self-referential, existential, surrealism, things that don't make sense to the layman, like make sense to me. It like feeds a certain part of my brain.
Yeah. I mean, do you like Grant Morrison?
Oh yeah.
So, do you like Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol
Yeah, love it.
and like Animal Man and all that?
Animal Man, Invisibles. He also did they also did an Aztec run. What else?
Oh, yeah.
Uh Final Crisis is the one where they kind of missed.
Yeah.
But when they explained it afterwards, I'm like, oh wait, this is genius. It's just that in the actual context of the story, they were just expecting people to just understand what was in their mind. But it was very like, even for me, out there to where they're putting things together that I didn't put together. But virtually everything else Grant Morrison has done, I've loved.
I appreciate Grant Morrison, but their runs are never my favorite. Like Grant
Mm,
Morrison's run on JLA, not my favorite.
that's one of my
It's
favorites.
great, but not my favorite.
Mm,
Grant Morrison's X-Men run for New X-Men was great, but again, not my favorite X-Men run.
mhm.
Um, uh, I'm trying to think of what
Batman.
else. Yeah. Also, I mean, I liked it, but not my favorite.
Yeah, and with that one, I do agree. Grant Morrison isn't my favorite Batman run, although I do appreciate it for what it was.
Yeah, and it added to the mythos. But when it
Mhm,
gets too heady, like a time gun that like moves your soul back in time.
mhm.
What was the thing with Batman?
Yeah, it's like it was like a Radion bullet. It's been a while since I like read this, but like
Yeah.
he like shot it back in time and it like hit their dark side in the past, which affected all of like his futures and timelines or something like that.
Yeah, that's too much for me. Like I'm like I don't not that I can't understand it, but more like I don't want to understand it.
Yeah.
But let's tackle Martian Manhunter, absolute Martian Manhunter. It was cool. Do like everybody's talking like high praise about it. But
Mhm.
and it warrants the high praise. But do you think after 6 issues of this book, people are going to get tired of this metaphysical sort of mind trip that is this book?
I don't know about people, but I know about me.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going to. And to be honest, because like Doom Patrol, let's take that for example. It's like I really loved Grant Morrison's run because it was so trippy. Like that's what I picked up the book for. Like I don't want it to lose its trippiness. I can see the concern of like, oh, if Martian Manhunter goes too far over the deep end. But to me, that's kind of like the fun of it. Like I'm not sure if you watch like Severance, but it's kind of the same concept. Like you want it to be like, what the f did I just see? What was that? What does that mean? What do the goats mean? And like that's the same thing when you like indulge in certain type of stories. Like that's the expectation. So I feel like I really want it to remain in that trippy space because that's what the book is built for.
I feel like when it comes to new comics, by the way, I didn't realize that Absolute Martian Manhunter was originally supposed to be like 6 issues, but it just
Mhm.
got extended to 12. So
Yeah.
that's good for that. Like, and
Mhm.
I'm cheering it on. I just wondered to myself whether there are certain premises for comic books that they have a like an end, right? Like,
Mhm.
can they continue with such a very specific premise?
I say let them cook. And this is only the first issue. I see a lot of potential. And I could honestly see this becoming an ongoing because to be honest, it's like, as I said before, it's like this is what I've been missing in comics is Invisibles, Shade the Changing Man, Doom Patrol. It's like it's hard for me to get into certain books. Like if I read Animal Man, I want it to be like a meta commentary. I want like the
Mm,
hand coming out and somebody drawing it. And like if it's not that, I feel like I'm like losing something, and I'd rather just read the run where that stuff happens. So I I think that's why I have this as my top pick, is because it's filling in a gap that was very much empty until this came along. And like people would talk about these other books that like, oh, it's kind of crazy, it's kind of weird, but it wasn't weird enough. Like I want something that's very heady, very like alien and conspiratorial, and that's what this book gives me.
okay. Um, I like that. I am gonna keep reading it.
Hmm.
My one thing, and maybe this is just a nitpick, and it may be just a nitpick, I don't like when John Jones is white.
Yeah. And that like because there's so much more to it when he's a black man. I'm just gonna say it. It's like there's a deeper layer to it that this alien chooses to be black.
Yeah,
Like that instantly gives him so much characterization, because it's one thing for Clark Kent to look the way that he does, like he gets a lot of privilege because of that.
right.
But to choose to be black is such a powerful statement, because the amount of things that we have to go through is enormous. So but to me, that was like him wanting to maintain his alienness, because you're very much othered when you're black or person of color in a predominantly white society.
Yeah,
And to say, hey, I'm going to sympathize with these people over here versus taking the easy way out. So in that regard, I completely understand. In this, I kind of have like a bigger thesis about like how when it comes to like surrealism, it's very much easy for people to ignore the aspect of race
yeah,
in favor of going into like these stranger worlds, versus like we live in a very upside down world being black and people of color. That's why I love like Atlanta, which is Afro surrealism,
yeah,
that really conveys the black experience in a way that I feel like no other show or movie has. But it shows how these two things can go hand in hand. And oftentimes, like race is eliminated from these types of stories.
yeah.
And that's also why I referenced Severance as well. I'm not sure, once again, if you watch it, but Mr.
I don't.
Milchick's story that,
Right now, I'm
okay.
trying. I'm working real hard on Yellow Jackets right now. That's like my
Hmm.
thing that people were talking about. That I'm working my way through. Severance. We'll see if I ever get to Severance.
Yeah, I feel like you probably won't like it.
Okay.
Just because,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, just like knowing your tastes,
Yeah.
and like you're not it's gonna be weird stuff and some trippy stuff. It's still kind of grounded in like this office space that they go to, but you might find it infuriating. But point is that amidst all of that, they still allow a character like Mr. Milchick to exist and address his blackness, which is something that's oftentimes ignored. So when I first saw Absolute Martian Manhunter, I did kind of have like a instant reaction of not being as invested in it, because I like Martian Manhunter Black. Like growing up and seeing like Smallville and John Jones, and like he was black, and it just like added this layer to it that I
Yeah.
felt like Martian Manhunter has this otherness that I connected to. And so that's not necessarily there anymore, but I do really enjoy the metaphysical aspects of the comic.
Yeah. I definitely think that they're trying something new, essentially, with it, and it's okay. That's fine. Um, it might, and I hate to do this, but I mean, they want like a broad audience. And so I feel like maybe, this book is a long shot to begin with, and whether mainstream audiences would pick it up if it wasn't the guy who looks like Nate Cordry. Actor Nate Cordry? He's Rob
Yes.
Rob Corddry's younger brother, and he's in like random
Yes.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
This guy on the cover just looks like Nate Cordry to me, and so it's like maybe they just need that to get people to pick up the book. It is what it is. It's also not the John Jones that I know anyway, so it's a new thing. It is what
Hmm.
it is. Um, my pick of the week, and I don't think you read this one, is Fantastic Four number 30.
Yep. I have not read that.
Are you reading Fantastic Four?
I'm not, but because I know that the writer of One World Under Doom is doing Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because I saw a podcast with him, so I made like a mental note to catch up on that.
Okay. Are you liking One World Under Doom?
I am, yeah. I really liked the first issue was very strong. Um, and I like the concept of Doctor Doom. I kind of have like points to make about Doom Academy, which I'll get to that later. But yeah,
Okay.
overall, I like the concept of One World Under Doom.
Okay. So last week, I think it was One World Under Doom #2 came out. I think that was last week. And with it, at the end of it, Doom, the Fantastic Four rise up against Doom, and Doom in the fight, like, blasts the thing. And you're supposed to think at first, like, oh, that's not good. But Doom was blasting him with a depowering ray, essentially, and doing something that he says that Reed Richards could never do. I shall, he shall do it, and he essentially gives Ben Grimm his human body back, but with no powers.
Mm-hmm.
And which I think is like a crazy thing to happen to like a character that's been around for decades, and like they've touched around it, like he can be Ben Grimm the human for like one day at a time every year or something. Like they've written in the comics where he can do that, but now Doom's essentially just depowered him. And so the cover of Fantastic Four, I'm gonna have to bring this up here. The cover of it is Fantastic Four, but the 4 is scratched out and it says 3. And it's this, because Doctor Doom is Sorcerer Supreme, he's like standing over Ben Grimm's body. So anyway, this issue, just a week later, is the fallout of One World Under Doom #2. And it's all dedicated to Ben Grimm being depressed after he's gotten depowered. And it's a really sad, depressing issue.
It sounds really cool. Not that he's depressed, but
Yeah.
I like internal, introspective stories like that.
I mean, that's what it is. It's this whole time Ben Grimm has seen his powers as like a curse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's finally lifted, and he's just a normal human. It's not that he's super strong with like a human body. It's like he can't have it both, right?
Right.
And like he's walking down an alleyway with Alicia, his wife, and a mugger comes out, and he, like, it says it in the captions, like he does, like, in reflex, he grabs the gun like with his palm over the barrel, and he like goes to like fight the guy, and he shoots through his hand.
Wow.
Because he doesn't, like, he just didn't realize, like, yeah, oh, he doesn't have powers, like it's just reflex, right?
Right.
And he has to go to the hospital because he gets beaten up. And I don't know. There's some crazy twists. I don't know how much I want to spoil, but Ben goes to a villain to try to fix his depression.
Which very is Watchmen style.
It's crazy. Like, he doesn't go to the villain to get his powers back or anything. Like, that's not his goal. His goal is to like cure his depression. And like it's just kind of just sad, you know?
Yeah. It sounds very sad. But it also makes them sound very human. And that's what I enjoy, like having those touches of him instinctively grabbing the gun because he's so used to being impenetrable.
Yeah.
But now he's made of flesh and he has to contend with that. Like, I love those like existential issues that heroes face.
Yeah. I don't know. It was just a good issue. So Ryan North, shout out to Ryan North for doing that.
And that's your #1 pick?
I think that's my #1 pick.
Okay.
Again, there was a lot of good stuff out this week, but there was something so special about this issue that I thought stood out to me. And there's other comics that I want to talk about, of course. So, I mean, a lot of great comics out this week. What's another comic you liked?
I'm going to go with Uncanny X-Men #12, I believe.
It was also really good.
Yes, it was very good. And for kind of a similar reason, but also after kind of like the, Manhunt with Xavier, like I love that this focused on Gambit. He's my favorite X-Men character. And I love seeing his past. I love backstory issues. And we really got to see like who he was as a child and this thing that followed him around for such a long time and him coming to terms with that and Rogue being there for him. I just loved it from start to finish.
I it's been hard for me to care about these four characters.
The
Just
Outliers.
the outliers, yeah.
Mm,
It's been hard, but this issue and the last couple of issues have been really like warming them up to me, and I'm like,
mm.
all right, what are their four names? Because I don't know.
It's Ransom, Jitter, Deathstream, and Calico.
Ransom and Jitter. What's Jitter's powers?
Jitter, she can like take on abilities for like a limited time. She becomes like the best gymnast in the world for like a certain period of time, or like the best runner for a certain period of time, something of that nature.
Okay. Um,
Hmm.
I liked what was going on here, and like the older X-Men kind of learning from X-Manhunt Omega, like
Hmm.
them learning that like, oh, they shouldn't be such hard asses like on their students, like Professor X was, or like Cyclops has been.
Yeah, and you can see the guilt weighing on Rogue, who is normally such a very hard-headed individual. That's why we love her. But
Yeah.
she can be very hard-headed and very tough, which you understand. There are people out to kill them. Like they're mutants, they're public enemy number one.
Yeah.
So it does make sense for her to be that way. At the same time, it's like, look what happened to Charles Xavier and the fallout as a result. So it was nice seeing them reflect on their past that way.
It's always nice to see like character growth and like character
Hmm.
learning lessons, especially in something like a superhero comic where all the superheroes are supposed to be like just the best at what they do, right? Like that's kind of like what it is, and that's also why I like team comics over solo comics, is
Hmm.
because sometimes in a solo comic you just make your character the best they can be in that situation, and it's not as good to me.
Yeah, I like team comics for their dynamics, but what I find is that if a writer isn't good at writing everybody, it ruins like the whole book for me. And that's why like I tend to not read as many team books for that reason because it's hard for people to balance like all these different characters and personalities. And if I'm reading something and I'm like, Starfire doesn't sound like that, or that's not what Donna Troy would do, that takes me out of the story.
That's true. Who do you think is really good at balancing a huge cast of characters, honestly?
Jeff Johns. Really, if I like that was the first name that came to mind.
Yeah.
But from JSA to Teen Titans, really in that era specifically, to me, that's the bar as far as like writing all these different personalities and making sure that they each have their own voice and that their interactions between each other are different. Like it, I can't really. Oh, also Gail Simone, of course, like
Yeah.
because Uncanny X-Men, she does a really good job of Gambit and Rogue and the entire cast, but she was also great in Birds of Prey with Huntress and Black Canary and Oracle. Huntress is like my favorite heroine. Um,
Which
and
Huntress, like the Helena Bertinelli ex mobster
Helena
daughter?
Bertinelli, yes,
Yeah.
don't bring up Helena Wayne.
Okay.
She's a Nepo baby.
I don't. I'm not a fan of Helena Wayne at all. But also, it's also because we both you and I have been reading comics in that same like era. Like I don't have any attachment to pre-crisis like
Right.
comics. Like I'm all about
Yeah.
like everything in the 90s to 2000s, like leading up to Infinite Crisis. Like Infinite Crisis is my favorite crisis.
Mhm.
Um, you know, uh so Helena Bertinelli to me is like that's Huntress.
Yes. She has so many layers to herself. She's a teacher, but she's also a vigilante. She's hardcore, but also she's kind. It's like I just love that she is all these things at once. But the point is that like I'm very critical about teen books. I love them the most,
Mm-hmm.
but I also feel like I'm hardest on them because of that. And I really need like reading a book of characters that I love, and I'm just like, oh, you're having Starfire sound like she sounds in the Teen Titans animated series. I'm like, you don't know comic book Starfire. You know,
Right.
it's stuff like that to where like I can't enjoy it fully, even though I really do enjoy teen books as far as their premise goes. So it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah. I personally think it's editorial's job and the company's job, the publisher's job,
Hmm.
to have, maybe they have it and maybe they don't, but to create a Bible, right? And I don't mean that
Hmm.
like like it's called a Bible, right? Like a series
Hmm.
Bible, like a TV
Yeah.
show will have this, right?
Hmm.
And they need a Bible with their characters and their defining qualities that like this is what like you can expand from this and like
Hmm.
use this to like springboard, but like Dick Grayson is not murderous.
Hmm.
Anytime he is murderous, that's an Elseworlds. Like, make
Right.
sure that we do this. Who is more hopeful? Who is insecure? Who is blah blah blah? Like, because all these characters, when they're written poorly, are like all the emotions whenever the plot needs them to be.
Right. Yeah. And I need to feel that sense of history that these people know each other and have lived together and have fought together. Otherwise, like you just have a collection of characters who don't really have a connection.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I'm gonna bring up Mark Wade because I love
Mm,
Mark Wade. Do you think that Mark Wade balances a huge cast of characters well?
definitely. I mean, with World's Finest and then with Justice League,
Let's talk
he
about
under
Justice League.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he really gets to the core of who these characters are, maybe more than the majority of people. Like he's kind of becoming this like godfather of comics before our eyes, where
Yeah.
he's managing these various characters, even the ones who I feel like don't get shine on them. Which, as a comic book fan, it's like, yes, I have my main stars that I love, but I still want to see Star Sapphire and various other like characters come in, but also be depicted not as just like, oh, here's this C-list, D-list hero who's going to say two lines and then leave. You
Yeah.
know, like give us like a deeper insight into who these characters are. And I feel like he treats every character with respect. And I wish more writers were like him because it just feels like they only care about the main heavy hitters. And then when it comes to using other characters, they're cannon fodder. And
Yeah.
that takes the enjoyment out of it because no matter how small a character is, they mean something to somebody. And to treat them like as if they're just like unimportant because you have Batman to play with, that just shows that you're lacking as a writer and also like as a fan. I can't imagine like getting to write a character no matter how small they are and just throwing them away. And Mark Wade never makes it feel like, oh, and then this character comes on and then he says something and then leaves. It's like he usually like has them do something important and then also writes them very specifically.
Yeah.
So I definitely put Mark Waid in that category.
I and I think he's in this book. So Justice League Unlimited #5, but like is Tom Kalamaku, is he in this issue?
Tom Kalamaku.
He was like one of Hal Jordan's friends back in the day. He's such a small character. He's played by Taika Waititi in the Ryan Reynolds movie. Um,
Mm,
but he is like he is Hal Jordan's like not sidekick, but like best friend,
partner.
right? Like
Mm,
kind of. And so
hmm.
he appeared in some comic recently, and I can't figure out whether it was this issue or another issue. But um such a minor character, but the question is like who's a fan of him to the point of like being rabidly against any character growth? Like that's also a
Right.
problem in the fan base,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, true. It's yeah. And I feel like every time you bring in a character like that, there's opportunity for character growth. Because to me, and this is a side conversation that I've been fighting with people about Daredevil Born Again,
Mm.
which has gotten better these past two episodes, but it's like it's not just how good the main character is, it's about the side characters.
Yeah.
And I because you have to make it feel like they're in this world and how people interact with them, but also it's like they're a reflection of themselves and they're judging them, hoping that they go a certain way, and having that tension, that back and forth, is what creates great stories.
Yeah.
Same thing with Batman's world. Like it's not just Batman; it's Commissioner Gordon or Jason Bard or whoever it might be. It's like they color the world and make it feel more alive. Versus if we're just with Batman the whole time and nobody else, and everyone else feels just like plot devices, then it ruins the story.
Right. I want a Jimmy Olsen that has his own agency.
Yeah, precisely. And like that's like even what Mark Waid did in The World's Finest storyline with the, Batmite and Mixes Pitalik,
Oh yeah.
um, and how Jimmy Olsen, since he had been all these other beings, these super creatures,
Yeah.
like he was able to like host all that magic and transform into these various versions of himself in a way that like Dick Grayson Robin couldn't do, which like makes sense because if he's been all these weird things, of course he can transform and be able to like mentally handle it.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of processes that I enjoy as like a fan.
Yeah. For the sake of time, because and it's not you, it's not you, it's me.
Mhm.
Because we started way late. Let's hit JLU number 5, and then we gotta like
Okay.
rocket through everything else, and it's gonna be one of those episodes.
Cool.
We finally get to see who the Inferno people are. What are they called?
Inferno, yeah.
It's just Inferno.
Just
And we
Inferno.
find out who the big bads are, and it's the Injustice League.
Hmm.
Do you get what's going? Oh, and they finally call in their special favor from. So, Gorilla Grodd got Martian Manhunter's psychic ability through
Yeah.
the events of Absolute Power, and then calls in the favor to Airwave. Airwave essentially betrays the team by zapping Grodd away. And then it turns out that the Injustice League has been behind it the whole time. Problem is, Sinestro is in Green Lantern, and he is a Green Lantern, I think. And then Lex Luthor is a good guy right now in Superman. And so, what do you think is going on?
Yeah. Here's my theory. I think we have a multiverse situation going on because it just doesn't make sense for all these characters, these villains right now, with what they have going on in their other storylines, to then suddenly switch and become Injustice League. And so they're setting up the We Are Yesterday
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
event. And so I think that, looking at those covers and seeing like Perpetua and the Batman Who Laughs, I'm like, they're pulling from like these random stories across time and various universes. So I don't think that we're looking at like the main universe in Justice League. I think this is like an alternate universe situation.
And I'm gonna agree with you and then disagree with you. I think
Okay.
they're setting up the difference between a timeline time traveler and the multiverse. I don't think
Mm,
this is a multiverse event. I think this is a pure timeline,
mm.
prime Earth timeline event. Because
Okay.
I don't think there's anyone in the images that is from like an Elseworlds other than like Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond. But I think they're gonna try to say that like in this point in the timeline, unless decisions change, the future is that future, but the future can always be rewritten, right?
Right.
But when it's rewritten, the future becomes, and this is how Marvel does it at least, when the future gets rewritten, the alternate timeline becomes an alternate universe. It still
Okay.
exists. So, like
Right.
in Marvel, Days of Future Past still exists as an alternate timeline,
Hmm.
even though the events of the comic erase that future by not assassinating Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
So Marvel does it that way. I think DC might do it that way because like the events of Kingdom Come are
Hmm.
now its own like well they were Elseworlds but they're anyway whatever. The point being is all these alternate futures are its own Elseworlds but they were at one point a possible future.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. And I think especially with it being called We Are Yesterday,
Yeah.
that sounds very time-based. So you could be on the right track.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's hit everything real quick. A big one, Batman 158, which is the start of Hush 2.
Yeah, so yeah, I love seeing Jim Lee's art again. He never misses. It's always a feast for the eyes. This was a good setup, I think. I don't think that it broke new ground, but it does have me interested to see where it's gonna go. I like, kind of the main players being set up for this sequel. You kind of expect to see, you have Talia al Ghul. I want to see Catwoman. I want to see Nightwing and Barbara Gordon. So yeah, this felt like almost feel like I can't fully review it because it felt very much like setup. Like nothing was necessarily surprising. It was very expected, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I personally think, I mean, we'll move on to other comics, but like, I personally think that the original Hush is good as a beginner's sort of intro into Batman. It's like 12 issues. You see all the villains, you see Batman's relationship to people, but I don't think that broke any ground. Like, it wasn't too innovative or anything. It was just like,
Mhm.
this is a Batman story. And this one just seems like the same thing. So as long as people like it and people get into comics because of it, like the original Hush, like
Mhm.
more power to it. I just don't know whether this is the type of story that's going to have ramifications, because the original Hush didn't really have any ramifications with Batman other than teasing Jason Todd, which they went back on and then they didn't go back on it. So it's like they like retcon the retcon the retcon, you know? So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, fine, whatever. But we'll see how this one goes, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It is beautiful though.
Yeah.
And it has like 26 variant covers.
Yes. So they really want this to sell.
Yeah. I mean, it probably is though.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like it's been 20 years, I think.
That's crazy. Time flies.
Yeah. Um uh Ultimate Spider-Man number 15. You read this
I
one?
really, yes, I really enjoyed this. I love seeing Peter and his son like working together, and also Sandman, and also like his powers and how they kind of like manifest is very fascinating. Also, I want to see more of Black Cat. Overall, this was a very strong issue. Also, Kingpin is like he's one of the best villains I feel like Marvel has because what he does um, about Ben Riley or Ben Riley's is so
Yeah.
extreme and so petty, but that's why we love him. We love to hate him.
When did the name Oh, I remember. Now I get it, because the premise was Peter Parker, Spider-Man puts photos in the Daily Bugle under the alias Ben Riley. Was that what it was?
Mhm. Yes.
And so Kingpin's like, okay, tell me who this person is. And they won't tell him. He's like, fine. And he kills every Ben Riley on Earth.
Yes, he said say less. And he he handles it. I mean, he didn't just say the city. He said no, the world. If your name is Ben Riley, you're gone.
So he just
And
kills
he
all
did
the Ben
that.
Rileys.
Yes.
That's
Yes, that's the
wild.
level of petty I enjoy in my villains.
I just put two and two together. I didn't realize that plot point from one of the previous comics, because it's been a while since they've brought it up, right?
Hmm. But
Oh,
Kingpin doesn't forget.
that's funny. Also, somebody pointed out, and I didn't realize this at all, that every issue of Ultimate Spider-Man flashes forward a month
Mm,
to stay in real time. There's always a gap in time in between every issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, and it's a month.
that's cool. It kind of reminds me of the 52 weekly series.
I love 52.
Yes, it's so good. It's one of the best. Like I can reread that over and over again. I don't know. It feels like day in the life. I won't get into it.
52 is for like hardcore comic fans that for some reason love like movies like Love Actually or New Year's Eve, or like or like He's Just Not That Into You, or those type of ensemble movies where like they have different stories going on in different places and they weave
Yeah,
together. It's the comic book version of that.
basically. Basically, it just feels like you experience the DCU in a way that you never have before,
Yeah.
and that's why it like sticks out to me. It just feels so tangible, like being able to like live with them on like a weekly basis and see what they're going through, and also like once again the minor characters. Like props to the minor characters.
Yeah. By the way, shouting out, if anyone's out there watching us right now, let us know you're out there. Like, hop into the chat. Now, I did change the setting that makes it so the chat is only subscribers only, but like, It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't hurt you to subscribe. If you want to talk comics, come and talk comics. We would appreciate it. We do this every week, so you can subscribe today and then come in every Thursday if you want to. That's up to you. Let's hit everything else real quick. There's a lot. Absolute Wonder Woman #6. It was really good. I love this series. This may be my favorite Absolute series.
It was so good. This was gonna be my #1 pick, but I'm like I keep saying Absolute Wonder Woman because she is a goddess. But I
Yeah.
mean, from the art to the mythology, like I love the story of Prometheus. It's and how they incorporated that into her story about being chained and kept somewhere, but then using your what's meant to hold you down against your opponent. It's like I just love how everything is so well crafted and well thought out in Diana's magic and how she is able to conjure things and build strength. It was just perfection to me.
Yeah. And there's 3 lassos.
Yes.
I need to
That was
know more. It's
yes.
it's so good.
Yes.
All right. So that's absolutely. Did you read Ultimate Wolverine #3?
No, not yet.
This is the weakest Ultimate Marvel series.
Oh.
But this one picks up. And you see this Ultimate Marvel Universe's version of Gambit and Kitty and Black Widow. And so the mission takes place in Russia. And that's pretty cool. Again, it's one of the weaker series, but I feel like it might be picking up. But I don't know. I just read it out of obligation, I think.
That's disappointing.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Superman 24. You read that one?
Yes.
Okay.
That was very good. Love Lois Lane, Superwoman joining the Justice League. Yes, 100%. That was very cool. I love the whole like tie-in once again, talking about like how DC is operating right now. Like it just feels so in sync. Like of course they would reach out to Superwoman for a case when Superman has to deal with something else.
Yeah.
Creeper was an interesting choice. Like
Yeah.
when I like saw him there, like I know he's on the team because he was even in the animated series, like in like one of those group shots. I'm just like him, because he kind of stands out as being like, can he be trustworthy? And we find out that he's not. But yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. I like Superman is one of my favorite books that comes out every month. I don't think that I ever say that it's like my favorite, but it is one of the ones that I'm always looking forward to.
Yeah. Again, yeah, DC's in sync right now, and it's just really cool to see from a fan perspective. Tell me about Doom Academy #2.
So yeah, Doom Academy. I love the premise because it used to be like Strange Academy, but now it's Doom Academy because Doctor Doom is now the new Sorcerer Supreme. But I don't feel like they fully invest in the concept. Like they don't fully commit to it because it's like you have Doctor Doom who is like conqueror of the world now. And not that the book has to like specifically address it, but have some type of like correlation of just like, oh, well, maybe we can like find out what he's planning, or like maybe there's secrets here that relate to like his ultimate plan. But it's kind of going on as like business as usual. And even beyond that, like not that once again, I don't need to have like a direct tie in, but also it's like the school doesn't feel like it's a real school because I don't see them like attend classes. Like I want to see like, oh, what does Dr. Voodoo teach? Like what are the like what's the course curriculum for this school? It's kind of like doing this side adventure where the main character goes into like this storybook and then they have to like find her, and it's just very like tame and not really going towards the direction that I would want it to. So it's not bad by any means, but at the same time I want something that I'm not getting.
Okay. All right.
And sorry, last thing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we talked about how like Marvel is kind of lacking in its magic, and like this is why. I'm like I tried to like give this a chance, and I'm still gonna like check out the other issues, but like it's not giving what it's supposed to give. Whereas I feel like if this was DC, they would have had all this covered. But right now I'm just like it's interesting at best.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Strange Academy, but now with this sort of continuation / spinoff, I haven't read it yet, so I will, because I liked Strange Academy, but
Mhm.
yeah, it is kind of a tie-in. All right, we got to do like one sentence reviews or whatever. Weapon X-Men #2. I didn't get to read it, but I read issue #1.
This is surprisingly good. Deadpool, because to me, Deadpool is hit or miss.
Yeah,
Um, but he's hit on this. I like that this team that has come together with Cable and Wolverine, and it seems like Deadpool like betrayed Wolverine, but of course he has like another trick up his sleeve.
yeah.
So this is one of the biggest surprises. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
X Manhunt Omega. For me, I read this one. It just kind of wraps up this crossover, and they treat it like almost like a TV show where one of the actors, like the main cast actors, like leave the series. And
Mhm.
I don't know why it was trying to be so like glum and depressing of a like a farewell, but you know they're gonna be in Jonathan Hickman's Imperial coming up. So
Right.
okay. But also it was literally about the X-Men saying goodbye to Professor X forever. Which does that mean anything in comics? I don't know. But
Yeah. This felt rushed and like they needed to get this event out, so it didn't feel thought out. Some moments did hit me to a degree, but I feel like that's just because I like these characters so much. Like, oh, I would feel sad, like Rogue consoling Cyclops. Like,
yeah.
yes, that's like a hard hitting moment. But at the same time, as you were saying, like he's gonna be back. Like we're gonna see it. So it didn't really feel like the stakes matched what the story was saying.
Yeah. It is what it was.
Yeah.
I think is that all the books that you read? Because otherwise,
Uh,
okay.
yes.
Because I read a couple more, and I'll just go over those real quick as we close up.
Okay.
Amazing Spider-Man 70 finishes this run of Amazing Spider-Man, and it finishes this whole like thing with 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. It was pretty good. Not enough to make it like my pick of the week, but like it's writer Joe Kelly finishing this run, and they have Amazing Spider-Man #1 that comes out either in a week or in a couple weeks that starts off the new run of Amazing Spider-Man, also written by Joe Kelly. I don't know why they're doing all that, but it was what it was. I'm sure contracts came into play and rights and whatever, but it was a good enough end for 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. Like I think the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man storyline might be worth buying in trade, like just that that storyline.
Yeah.
But it was what it was. Spider-Man gets Juggernaut's powers. That you see it on the cover. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool. It is what it is. Wonder Woman 19. A lot of people had problems with it because of this flash forward to the future. It's comic books. I don't necessarily think that's going to come to pass. Like, but DC is being really weird with Wonder Woman's daughter Trinity. Like, why are they forcing it so much? But I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
The art is
I'm
amazing. I'll say
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's why I was picking up the book for a while, but the story just didn't grab me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mhm.
Green Arrow 22, really good story. Green Arrow is fighting sympathetic villains essentially. It's the freshwater killers, and they are targeting like heads of corporations that
Mm.
have wronged them. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. Laura Kinney Wolverine #4. I never thought I'd need to see Laura team up with Bucky, but they make a really good team.
That sounds
And
dope.
yeah, because the premise, or like not the premise, but like one of the underlying themes is that they were both built to be weapons, and they're trying to fight that, right? Like it's a
Hmm.
theme. It's not the premise, but it's the theme, and they're on a road trip mission. They're literally like driving to a mission, and like they stop at a gas station. It's I don't know. It's really funny. Also, they're like the art is just really good, and um yeah, if you like good looking people, I think that this comic might be, you know, up your alley.
Okay. That's a good
Um,
review.
yeah. I also read Feral #11, which is essentially Feral is this from the makers of Stray Dogs. The cats basically rabies, like this like super rabies has like spread across all these like wild mammals, and
Mm.
the humans are putting them all down. Like if you've been infected, so it's like a zombie comic for cats, and it's sad, and there's gore and violence and just like Stray Dogs. That's essentially it.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah. And then I thought this was a one shot, but it's at least a mini series. The story is written by James Gunn, and then there's other writers that have written them into stories. Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagly double feature or something. It's very much John Cena's Peacemaker, and it seems like it's part of the show continuity, but I don't think it's supposed to. It's a Black Label book, but I don't know whether it's actually in continuity. But if it makes you feel any better, think of it like a continuation of the show.
Yeah, I haven't seen the show.
The show's worth watching. Weirdly enough, I don't like Peacemaker.
I don't think so.
No?
I'm
did you see The Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Did you like The Suicide Squad?
No.
Okay. So
I just don't. I don't like his style. It's just it's too much. It lacks nuance. It just feels one note over and over again. It's like it's very unserious, and then here's a one serious moment of like something sad happening, and then back to being silly again.
Undercut it with the thing. Yeah. So you don't like Guardians?
No. Oh no. Like, okay, I enjoyed the first one, but I'm like, I never need to see this movie again. Like, there's not enough depth to like swim in this again. It's like, oh, that was a fun popcorn movie. To me, he's a popcorn filmmaker.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk about it another time because we don't have time to get into.
Okay.
I feel like it's a big conversation to have. But first things first, Ethan, thank you so much for coming on this show. Only cutting you off because we're out of time, not because I don't want to hear you talk more, because it's always great having you on the show. Before we get going though, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
I am on TikTok, Insta, Twitter, and Blue Sky under Virgo Blade. I've got some stuff coming up. It is under wraps right now, but when I'm ready to release it, I shall.
All right, cool. For anyone out there who is watching us, definitely follow Ethan, of course. If you're watching us live, you're watching us on youtube.com/The Keeg Show, which is where we're drawing our chat from. We also on twitch.tv/The Keeg Show as well. If you're watching us live, it's on those two things. If you're listening to the podcast, it's wherever you get your podcast from: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, or SoundCloud. We're on like all the major platforms there. Probably some more too that I'm forgetting, but that's pretty much it. If you're on social media, follow us at The Keeg Show. TikTok and Instagram are our two biggest social media platforms, but we're also on like Blue Sky and Threads and all that stuff. At The Keeg Show /The Keeg Show, wherever you can find The Keeg, we are there. This is Comic Talk, one of the many shows that The Keeg does. We do this consistently every Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we talk about comics that came out that week. So, definitely stay tuned for more episodes. Then we also do a Daredevil Born Again after show. We also do a couple other shows. So, find all that information on our social media and whatnot. Support your local comic shops. Go to comicshoplocator.com. Find a comic shop near you. Support your local comic shops and support your local public libraries because they also have comics. But even if they didn't, they're super important to communities. So, support the people that need supporting. Now more than ever, that's pretty much it. If anyone's going to WonderCon in Anaheim this weekend, I will be there. If anyone's going to C2E2 in Chicago in like 2 weeks, I will be there, especially because we're doing a game show, geek trivia game show on the con floor. So, that's April 11th at 3:30 at C2E2. That's pretty much it. Thank you, Ethan, so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody out there, for being a part of this grand adventure that is Comic Talk. Once again, I am your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been another episode of Comic Talk for the week of March 27th, 2025. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Peace out. Bye.